Welcome to No Crime, No Time. And we have a little chat coming up here. I am, this is going to be a heavy one. So I watched mine shock, and I was just astounded how well they worked through where Teresa's phone pinged last. And then I did some comparing that to where her last voicemail was. I did some comparisons to some eyewitness statements. I thought about some before and after. How do we get a timeline on stuff? So there's going to be a lot of information in this video. It might be a little longer. You may have to come back and watch the other half at a later date. But I assure you, I have a lot of information to try to get through this. Now, that being said, I want to put that on the burner for a minute. I want to say we hit a huge milestone. So, NoCrimeNoTime.org hit 200 members. Now, some of these are guest passes, most of them. But we do have those that are actual financial supporters of our freedom of speech to protect us from having to have advertisement and so forth. And in that, they put enough in the kitty that we paid for a year of everything. So we have about 8 months left of it. And so we've made it completely free to the entire public for you to become members. And all your bills are already paid to support us and everything. You can just go there and take in the information. There's 2 channels on there. There's the Stephen Avery channel, which is the NoCrimeNoTime.org, as well as Outwitted, Out Walking in the Truth these days. And so with that, the supporters have made it free to us completely. And I'm overwhelmed by that. So we are completely demonetized in every realm at this point, which gives us what we need in today's world. We don't need to be answering to someone else, such as advertisers, to support our freedom of speech. We need to be able to say what we've got to say. So hats off to all of our supporters that have done this, because that was a goal. Just get enough in the kitty to pay for everything. And we've done it. And so we did a whole bunch of, I say we, but I revamped the entire website yesterday to make sure that everybody has access to every single part of it. And I am so delighted to be able to do that. Also, the fact that we hit 200 members on our website is fantastic, because it's a huge source of free information, and it has a library of information on the Stephen Avery case as well as other cases, which you guys can feel free to bring up other cases. Like if you want us to do a file on Julius Assange. I've done a little research on that. I am just shocked that somebody that was trying to help expose all the corruption in government is now being a political pawn in this game that is held hostage basically by the American government, in my view, in my humble opinion. So let's get on to today's topic. So like I said, it's going to be a whole bunch of stuff. The first thing we need to do is to get this report going. So I was thinking, it always bothers me when I think of the eyewitness, Irvin Koenig. Now you may be like, well, who in the world is Irvin Koenig? Well, let's get this out of our way. And we'll put that over here. Bring this forward. Or not. Oh, I had the wrong thing clicked. There. And we'll put Teresa right here in the corner. And let's get rid of this map for now. Let's see. Where is that? Okay. Now, let's go over here. So this is the Caso report, and it explains who people are. It you can't trust it. It's reports that are done from reports that are retyped, and it's not, the reports aren't being made as statements where it's somebody's affidavit. It's simply Calumet's version that they want to feed us. So you have to take it with a grain of salt. But if you're interested in this, it's 1,117 pages. Go to nocrimenotime.org and you'll find that I do a reading of 10 pages at a time until we go through all of 1,117 pages. And we usually have a discussion afterwards. So if you're interested in it, there's that. However, today we're going to focus on what is told in the Caso report about Irvin Koenig. So he was a witness, and it starts out on page 221. It's telephone contact with District Attorney Jeff Froelich. It's 11:10:05. Maya, do you really got to itch your foot? Come on. Maya's my dog. Okay, reporting officer, investigator John Detoured, documents generated none. On Thursday, 11:10:05 at 17:46 hours. I, Detoured, did receive a telephone call from Assistant District Attorney Froelich regarding this matter. He stated a subject named Irvin Koenig was on one of the television stations, indicating he had seen Teresa's unlit vehicle in a turnaround on South Highway or State Highway 147 east of I-43 on Thursday morning, 11:03:05. I was unable to locate any information on Mr. Koenig at the time of this dictation. And it's signed by John Detoured. So let's go topside for a minute. Already we have someone that has, at the time, went on the television and stated that they have seen Teresa's unlit vehicle in the turnaround right there. Now let's go on and let's see if everybody's here. Who's here? We've got Steve, Marion, Teresa, Dark Side of the Moon. If I miss you, I apologize. Hey, Travhen, how are ya? Good to see ya. Oh yeah, everything's going good. This is going to be a little longer of a broadcast, probably an hour long. We have a lot to cover, so I'm not going to spend a great deal right now on Topside because we have a lot to talk about. Hey, Tom Hughes. Hey, Sherry Lynn. Good to see everybody. I see Karen's here. Let's see who is first. Shane Carlos, you rock. He gets here. He's like, is this late or am I early? Sherilyn second, she says, am I all by my lonesome in cyberspace? Nah, we're all here. We're all here. It's all good. Okay, let's get back over. So we're talking about Irvin Koenig, and he has seen, he claims, Teresa's unlit vehicle in the turnaround on State Highway 147. He's gone on the television stations and talked about it. Now, what's interesting is he claims something different than a lot of the other witnesses. So this is a follow-up. It's on page 350. It's done on the 19th is the report of the activity. And it's by John Detoured. It says, on Thursday, January 19th, 06 at 12:05 hours, Investigator Baldwin and I, Detoured, did attempt to contact the following individual at his residence, Irvin F. Koenig. Okay? It says, we did speak with Irvin's wife, Judith A. Koenig, date of birth 12/05/62. She indicated Irvin advised her that the unit he saw parked in the Mishka area was totally different than the unit that the photos presented at the 12, which is December 06/05 preliminary hearing of Stephen Avery depicted. She indicated Irvin was currently asleep and is a third shift worker. I left my business card and advised Judith to have Irvin contact me. So Irvin is stating that the two vehicles he saw, the pictures at the preliminary hearing, which would have been of the blue RAV, was totally different from the unit that he saw parked, which means what? Well, Irvin saw a dark green RAV4. So let's continue on. Let's see if there's another report. I can't remember if there is, but if we did. Okay. So this is... Okay, here we go. Page 353. Type of activity, telephone contact with Irvin Koenig. Date of activity. This is on the 21st of January. Again, it's John Detoured. On Saturday, January 21st of 06 at 13:42 hours, dispatch contacted me and advised me to give Irvin Koenig a telephone call as he does not have long distance. Koenig advised me that he saw a unit parked in the turnaround in Mishkat, just west of Mishkat on Thursday, 11:04:05. See, Detoured's other ones stated 03. Why? That's a good question. I don't have an answer. Somebody help me. Maybe somebody else knows that. He stated the vehicle was parked facing east and that he observed a large hole in the windshield as well as a large hole in the driver's side window. Koenig stated when he heard about Halbach's vehicle missing, he thought perhaps this was the one. Koenig stated the one on television wasn't the same color. See, it's color that has him thrown. He further indicated that the vehicle shown on television as a result of the preliminary hearing on 12/06/05 did not seem to be the same unit. John Detoured. So for those of you that have the two RAV theory, this leads some credence by this eyewitness that actually went on the news that we may have two RAVs. But there's the big elephant in the room question, the pink elephant or the white elephant. It stands out, and that is why. Why would they have to have two RAVs? They would want her original vehicle as much as possible to establish that that is indeed her vehicle, right? So we're going to keep digging in. Let's go back up to the top side a little bit. I'll scroll down, see if I've missed anybody. Trying to keep up here. Hey, Steve, good to see you. I think that's Dassey. I'm not sure. I may have just ruined your name. I'm sorry. Hey, Carol. Jazznaz1. Good to see you guys. I can't even say your name. Anna Jaskowski. I hope I said it okay. Says the RAV is green, right? So that's what the victim's own mother, Karen Halbach, said, is it's dark green. That's what 11.3 The Seas report says from Calumet and Manitowoc. They say that it's dark green. Now, about these holes in the window that he's talking about. Let's make sure I'm sharing my desktop. Yeah, we're sharing desktop. Let's go over here to gunfighting science. Now, my computer is rather slow, so give it a minute. So I wanted to do some research if bullets could pass through windshield, right? So this is Shooting Through Glass, the art of and science of bullets interacting with windshields by Fred Masterson, and it's on Tactical Life. You can go to tactical-life.com and look through science shooting through glass. You'll get the same information. Gunfighting science shooting through glass. As a general rule of thumb, the angle of the windshield will deflect a bullet upward or downward depending on the direction of fire, meaning you'll have to adjust your point of aim accordingly. So you can see here where we've got the windshield picture, and it's showing a bullet fired from both sides and how the bullet would respond with deflection. But does it truly deflect, or does it just change the path of the bullet? And it says, the growth in the population of trained, skilled shooters over the past 10 years is undeniable. It's at its peak. Many saw firearms training as a new golf. But this is an enjoyable activity, actually provides benefits for participation. It goes on to talk about those that are trained in law enforcement. And it talks about all kinds of things. It says the law of physics dictate that any sufficient contact with the bullet in flight will change the bullet's trajectory. This is the case with glass. Many factors go into the effects of glass penetration on a bullet, but there are a few that are simple. The angle of the glass in relation to the shooter is the biggest factor in determining the impact of the round on target. Other factors that come into play, such as glass thickness, as well as the round size and velocity. For the sake of brevity, we will explore one of the most relevant and common glass barriers shooters will face, a vehicle windshield. Listen to this part. Slicing through. Law enforcement and military personnel have studied bullet performance through glass for years. The nature of the work dictates that rounds be as accurate as possible. This same philosophy transfers over to the civilian world. If you're going to fire rounds through a windshield, you better know what the effect will be. And they go on to look at shooting from a vehicle through the windshield at an assailant in front of the vehicle. To set up the training scenario, we'll say the car has stalled. I say this because, like me, you would probably run over someone presenting a lethal threat in front of your car. Now, if you aim at the threat's center mass and fire your shot, the impact will be higher than your point of aim. If you look at the bullet hole on a windshield, you will notice that it is oblong. This is because the windshield is at an angle. This angle causes the top of the bullet to impact first, thus changing its flight path. As you imagine, there are a number of moving parts to this copper and laminated glass formula. As a general rule of thumb, though, you are encouraged to shoot a several inches lower when firing from inside a vehicle. If the roles are reversed and you find yourself shooting into a vehicle through the windshield, the same physics apply. This time, however, the scope of the glass will cause the lower part of the bullet to strike first, thus causing the lower point of impact, so you need to aim higher. And I'll let you go through the rest of this. So I'm going to come back up to topside. Think of this gentleman talking about the window having a large hole in the front of the windshield and on the driver's door. If a person, let's put a safety dummy in the driver's seat. If you look at the situation, if we have the skull fragments that state that there was a bullet to the left temple and there was a bullet to the back of the head, we have a bullet entering the skull from the back and from the left. Well, would you stare at a gun being aimed at you, or would you turn your head away? If there is a gun being presented to you at your face and you're sitting in your car and somebody walks straight up and they fire their gun, knowing how to do this, let's say they're law enforcement or military or they're trained in weapons, they know and they've studied this like they say for years, would it not enter the left head if the person looked to the right? And if there's a second shooter that's shooting from the passenger door, as that person turned their head, would he not also be shooting through the back of the skull as that person turned their head to the right? And it's never once been detailed to test the lead from the skull to say that it wasn't a 9mm. So that's what's interesting. I did a lot of study. A 9mm is substantially bigger than a .22 long round, okay? But also, it's not so substantial that it couldn't have made the beveling in those skull fragments. So 9mm back then, just like that battery is a Crown Vic, and that's what the cops used. 9mm is the rounds that they carried, standard issue. Could it have been two wannabe cops that were cops at some time, that were king of the hill, Or could it have been somebody working for the wannabe cops that did an execution style? Because now I'm going to take you even further. So we're going to close that. And we're going to close Irvin's. So hopefully I pick up some bandwidth. Let the computer catch up for a minute. All right, let's close the Caso. All right, so again, while we're waiting on the computer to catch up, if two individuals approached someone sitting in the driver's seat, aiming their guns directly in your face, one from the driver's side and one straight at your windshield, you would turn your head to the right. And the skull has the entry coming in the left temple, as well as the skull fragment has it coming in through the back of the skull. And that's what you would have if you followed this eyewitness, Irving Koenig, talking about these holes in the window if they were bullet entries. Okay? Now let's go and think about. So I talked about Mindshock doing that Reddit post about the last pings and so forth. Well, I want to see, where do I want to go? I want to talk about this entire idea. Well, let's get off here and let's go to the map. We're going to get to that part about the RAV in a minute, because we have a way to tell if the nighttime pictures of the RAV came before the light pictures or if they're after. And we're going to talk about that. So what I'm showing you right now is a Google map. So let's go back over and make sure you guys are seeing what I'm seeing. I believe you are. You should be seeing the map. This is the Google map. Now, if you come here, let's get it a little bigger. If the computer will allow me to get it bigger. Come on, little computer, you can do it. As you look at the map, we may have to go with the ones I saved because it's so slow, right? Okay. Here we go, here we go, here we go. Let's see if we can go a little bigger. I'm trying to get it to where you can see Avery's, because it's on here. And we're going to start off by looking at the situation if Teresa Halbach went left towards Larrabee, as Stephen Avery said, which I believe so, because her phone pings also match this. But her phone pings seem to deviate, and they backtrack. And this is where I got very curious. So you've got Avery's Auto Salvage right here in the middle. Let me drag it over. And she leaves. And you can see my little white dot. I'm traveling. And I get up here to Larrabee. Now, if you drop down here, you have a shortcut because you can take the old Y road. I'm trying to, whoops. Didn't mean to do that, guys. You can take Old Y Road, which is on Fisherville. It's also known as Fisherville through here. Now, what's interesting is Bobby's phone pings about that time on Fisherville Road. So if he also followed Teresa, if Bobby did, how do we know he didn't drop down here and come out on this Fisherville Road? Okay. Meanwhile, let's just continue with the thought that Teresa's up here and she's heading home. Okay? If she's heading home, she may have stayed on this main stretch to Maribel, because we do have sightings of her car in Maribel called in as she's heading home, and that would explain this. Also, a pant leg and a box of lube was found at Maribel Caves right up here along this part. Now, are you following me so far? So if Teresa went this way, and if the perpetrator went this way. Now, I hate to just say Bobby because it's possible that Scott Tadich may be driving Bobby's truck and be following this path as well, which could very likely be. But what's interesting is, let's make this littler and let's look at the bottleneck. If she hits Marable and she's caught there and detoured, or if she's bottlenecked to right here and detoured, either way, it's still her route home. See? Because this is County Road B right over here. Now, why do we know that she ended up going this direction? Because of her pings. So let's go ahead and let's switch on the map. And let's look up the other map. Let's see here. I believe I had another map with the George Zipper blog information. No. Give me a second. I lost one of our maps. I can always add it, which we may just have to do. We may just have to go get it. Yeah, we'll just go get it. Alrighty, here we go. So on George Zipper's blog, it had the last place that Teresa's phone received a voicemail, and it also had the last place that she pinged. And this is where your jaw is just going to drop, because mine did. I was like, what in the world? So let's close off the display capture. Now, this is the idea. You've got Avery's auto salvage right there. See it up there? Now, right here it says 2:42 p.m. last call gets forwarded to voicemail. We've got Highway Q, Highway V, and Highway R. And then later, the phone itself pings right here on County Road J and 10 in this area of Whitelaw. Now let's go back to our map and let's find Q, V, and R, where she got her last voicemail. Okay. Take that map away. I'm having problems with my maps. I got too many maps. But that's part of this, is keeping it straight. So let's see. Maybe that was the map. Okay, let's go back up to desktop. That's what it is. We've got to go back to Google Maps. Sorry about that. So again, Q, V, and R. All right? There we go. And then we want to turn off our map. Oh, it's so worth it, you guys. Just bear with me. Because I'm going to show you the deal. So you have R, right? And you have Q and V. Here's R. Let's see, where is Q? Let's get down to where it focuses for us. There's R, which is Packer Drive. It was working earlier, I swear. I may have it too small. Okay, here's Q right here. You can see my little, here's Q. Okay. Here's R right here. And V. So I looked up this location right here, because that location has direct access to where her phone pings with a voicemail in this area. And it's Colburn's, Andrew Colburn's, 9714 County Road R. Teresa Halbach's last voicemail pings between Q, R, and V. See V right here. You see Q right here. And you see R. And this is Andrew Colburn. Now, what's interesting is her next ping of her phone is her last ping. And it pings within a mile of this Vogel Family Farms, Dennis Vogel Family Farms. So if she was coming back this way, which we know she's going to, right here is a bottleneck. Because we have an individual in Bobby's truck with Bobby's phone, cell phone, pinging on Fisherville Road. Headed the direction that she's going to have to turn down to ping in those areas. We have Colburn right here. Now my question is, how do we know that this wasn't the drop-off point? Right here for the phone and her purse and her real camera and her car and her may have went completely different way. So just because her phone pings down here, that doesn't mean that's where she is. And just because Bobby's phone pings on Fisherville, if somebody has his phone, guess what? It could be somebody else. But the bottleneck is right here. So I'm going to come back up. I know that was a little rough. It gets confusing. I get it. And we can go back over it and over it. But with Andrew Colburn pinging that close, I mean, living. I'm trying to keep this straight. It's so confusing. So he lives right there, right? Let me go back over. I just got to make sure I understand this because this is my problem. If Andrew Colburn lives right here, and that's the vicinity of your last voicemail, and the Vogel family farm is right here, and this is the vicinity of her last ping, it would deem that she came straight down or her phone did. Then you have Bobby, his phone pinging on Fisherville. Oh boy. This makes much more of a scenario as to why would Andrew Colburn shoot all the way up to Marable Caves, drop what he's doing to investigate the pant leg and the box of lube. What do you guys think? Okay, it's flying by, so forgive me. We'll catch this. Trying to catch it. It's flying by. I can't even hit the show button. Look at that. I hope you guys are seeing that. Like, I can't keep up. Okay, everybody's very talkative today. All right, I'm just grabbing the wheel. Okay. Jerome made it from ma'am. Good to see ya. Sherry Lynn's here. Marion Schumann's here. Yeah. Okay. So let's just jump in here. There's so much going on in chat, I can't keep up. So Karen Lavery says, I have my dad's autopsy photos that show the damage of a 9mm. It's a small hole and a bloody big on accent. So that's my point. We don't have the other half of the skull. It's gone. We would only have the entrance. So it makes a small entrance, but we don't have the other side of the skull to say that the real bullet, because we know the .22 bullet is not possible to be the murder weapon. It's actually got bone, actually no bone on it. There's no bone fragments. There's no blood on the bullet. Zellner has proved that to be absolutely false, that it's got wood and red paint on it. So, what made the holes in that skull for entry? Because they're not exits, they're entries. And we don't have the exit because that skull is gone. So could it be a 9mm? Could this have been cops? And then you look at it and you go, well, Colburn's sitting right there. Why would Colburn, if he's not being sued, why would Colburn have skin in the game? He sat in the deposition and said he did his job and threw his old boss, Kasurek, Link, and everybody else under the bus and said, I did my job. He then went back to cover his tracks and made a note that later hangs up the whole case, right? He was the Gilligan of the bunch. He screwed it up. I bet he has more than skin in the game to fix it. Jesse Naz says, nice Karen Lavery. Can you post on Discord? So let's go up and see what Karen says. Oh yeah, the autopsy. Gotcha. That would be cool. You can also mail them to me if you want at rubberducky2005@yahoo.com. We can all look at them and share them in Discord and other things if you're willing to. And that way we can understand. Hey, Mira. Or Myra. Sorry, I always do that. It's Myra. Christine Dempsey says the demonic TH needs to make herself known and in this all. Ooh, some strong feelings. Miss Electric Spirit, welcome to the channel, says, so what's happening with this case, people? When are they going to get out of prison? That's a great question, being that the state just asked for more time. You know, more time, more words. They're stalling. They need more words to say what? I mean, the bigger their lie, they gotta, I guess, make up more bullcrap. But it plays in our favor, because the more they say, the more they hang themselves. Let them hang themselves. Trav Hen wants to know how many mile distance is the Avery salvage yard to the Cleveland salvage. It's quite a ways. I'm not sure. I would have to Google it. I did do a little check, and it was quite a ways out of the way, but, you know, who's to say it even had to make it that far? You know, there's more to this, though. If you really think about what we're saying, is that then, after this detour, this vehicle has to get back up to the turnaround in time for the eyewitnesses to see it. It has to get ditched. So let's go back over. And this vehicle then has to be turned. So my thinking is right here where I've got, am I sharing desktop still? Yeah. Okay. At the point, let me get this shrunk down. Oh, we moved let me grab. This is not easy to work this. See, I got two roads instead of one. Driving me crazy, guys. There. Let's just do that. Ignore this little jog. But let's say right in here where Colburn comes jotting up here, he can get that cell phone, that purse, and that camera for proof that the deed is done. That could mean it didn't get crushed or taken care of till a mile from here. Teresa could, in theory, be with her vehicle, backtrack to Maribel where we have the pants leg in the loop. Now, they're not going to want to keep this car on the road too long unless I've given a decoy and said that it's green when it's really blue or something. I don't know. Just throwing it out there. Anyway, so do they hide her out at Maribel until dark and then boot scoot this car and her over to this little area right in here at the turnaround, somewhere in there, and then just execute Styler with 2 guns at the same time? That's my question. Then Colburn would find it on the 3rd, act surprised. They'd move it all the way over to Cuss Road. Let's get to that. Let's see here. So here we are at Avery Salvage. Here is Cuss Road. So I've heard that Jambo Creek Road was used. What road is this? Or what road is this one? Do we got to make it bigger? So Zoner has said that she believed that Jambo Creek Road was used. Computer froze a little. I believe that's it right here. What's really interesting is that, see these white stacks over here? Let me get them on screen. And I'll put a dot or something there. If you look right here. Come on. Let me click it. Can I do something with this? There it goes. Right there. In the center of your screen. That's where Zellner says the pelvic bones were found. And right here is deer camp. Let's see if we can pinpoint that. It's actually a very fascinating map if you look at it. But back to what we were saying in the first part is that if you look at this, she's going to be coming this way, right down here. She bottlenecks and comes back down. She literally detours from her route home for her last phone ping. And it's within a mile of the Vogel home, the family home, farm. But her last voicemail pings out in this vicinity here. And it just so happens 9714 County Road R is where Andrew Colburn lives. So what do you guys think about that? All right. A lot of greetings going on. Jazzy Nez says, I hope Bobby wasn't involved in the murder. Miss Electric Spirit says, I can't wait to see the day when these guys are set free. It's a long time coming. Dark Side of the Moon loves George Zipper blog. So do I. Amazing work. Hey, Sheila Smokey, how you doing? Christine Dempsey says, damn it, Bobby. Myra Pennington says, me too, Dark Side. He's done extensive research. Who are you talking about? Oh, yes, the George Zipper blog. Of course. Shane Carlos says, Bobby Dassey is like a dog. Is like dog shit. He gets everywhere. Or is he being set up? That's the thing. You got Scott Taddy trying to sell his gun. Then Bobby Dassey's truck gets crushed. You know, or a Dassey gun. I'm just assuming it's Bobby's. A lot of people today on this live. Anna Jalowski is saying, I live in Mishka. Would you like me to go for a drive and do a video? Absolutely, Anna. Share it with us and I'll put it out here for everybody, Anna. Be happy to do that. Sherry Lynn Pontello says, 4 witnesses saw the car at the turnaround. Oh, there's even more than 4. There's at least 4 affidavits. Shane Dishel says, if she was attacked on road by LE, they had to hide vehicle and move it. Yeah. Wouldn't you need a farm somewhere close by that you could pull into? Oh, I don't know. The Vogel family farm, maybe? Anna Jalowski, if you want to send it to me, the video and I'll air it for you if you're interested in that. Just do rubberducky2005 at yahoo.com. And if it's too big for that file, just contact me through email, and I have another way through the cloud that you can upload it through our No Crime, No Time file server there. So you can actually upload it there, I think, yourself. I'll do some checking, but if not, I can upload it for you. Yeah, through Dropbox would work too. Hey, King of Plugs video, how you doing? Dark Side of the Moon says, Bella, long time no see. Your name makes me laugh. King of Plugs believes that the cops have everything to do with it. I honestly think we may be looking at that. When you look at Irvin Koenig going on live television, and I actually witnessed him on television at the time, I barely remember it other than I remembered him saying that he had seen her car in a turnabout with holes in the windshield. He said it right on the news because later he said it before they found the vehicle. See, that aired on the news prior. So then they claimed to find the vehicle on the Avery property. I was so confused how the guy could say that they found it on 147, but then how do they re-find it on the Avery property? That didn't make sense to me. Even back then, I was completely confused. And so I was thinking maybe I was getting cases confused. It was just a weird thing. And I actually have that in memory. So for me, Irvin Koenig, this old guy that later panics while calls the dispatch, you can listen to the calls. He's like, another guy's like, I told you to keep your mouth shut. Two old guys having a conversation, and they're panicked because people are on their way. The news is on their way and everything. You hear this in dispatch calls because he doesn't know what to do. Raised by Gypsy says, you think Colburn drove her to the airport? Well, if you are on the line of thinking that Teresa Halbach is still alive and did not die, then yeah, that would be her getaway right there. Is somehow they hide her out at the Vogel farm. And then maybe they got her to the airport. Colburn's back over, right there to get her phone or whatever. I think it's interesting that he shoots up to Marable Caves, just drops what he's doing and has to go up to Marable Caves for a pant leg and a box of lube, and doesn't even investigate the DNA. Nothing gets investigated on that lube. King of Plugs says, I just think the cops definitely messed with Stephen's blood in evidence. Why was it open? Well, Bella shit on a shingle ballerina. Good to see ya. She says, I am deeply disturbed on how close Ellie and their homes are in all of this. Thank you. Thank you. The chances of... Okay, think of it this way, you guys. So the big deal by the state was where her phone pinged last. Right? But the truth is that her phone pings after leaving Avery's salvage yard. Her phone actually has two things happen. The voicemail is within a mile or two of where Colburn lives when her phone pings. So she's within a mile or two of Colburn's home. This would have been an opposite direction of her home. She would have detoured to have pinged there. Then we have her ping by the Vogel family phone for that phone's last ping ever. It's too close for comfort. Teresa says cops had his blood from his sink. I agree. I'm going to scroll up, so these might be out of context a little bit, but I just wanted to share some of this with you. Somebody said something about... I missed it. It just scrolls too fast. But I do have another reveal. So I was looking at this, and I'm not the first person that has brought this up, but I'm just sharing it because I myself find this very fascinating. So I'm sure that somebody somewhere has done research on this, and maybe they're going to do a big reveal on this. I don't know. I'm just covering my butt, but obviously somebody else has because the pictures are there. So I want you to look at this picture of the RAV4. Let's grab it. Wait for this to kick open. There's a way to tell if the nighttime pictures came before the RAV4 daytime pictures or after. And the way we can tell is because Mother Nature doesn't lie. So, let's go ahead and hold this picture. Now, let's go to this picture. All right. Put them side by side. Both are on the salvage yard. Both photos are from the back end, but there's a difference. In the daylight picture, I'm going to draw with a red pen this. So you're going to see it right here. Now, I've seen other pictures with this circled. Never understood why till now. Okay, so why do they circle this limb? Because if you look over here, whoops, sorry guys. Let's go back to the RAV4. If you look over here, it's gone. See? Look at the limb. It has the stick, it has the curve, but it's missing the branch that should go up over the top of this entire back cover of the RAV. So that would mean the nighttime picture came after this daytime picture, or this limb would still be on this limb, but it got broke off. So that's why they have in those pictures that circled. Now I think I can close these and maybe get some more bandwidth. So they had to get her vehicle onto the salvage yard. So let's walk this whole little theory through. Let's walk the theory through that she takes the pictures at Stephen Avery's. She leaves left out towards Larrabee. She travels along. Let me give you guys something to look at rather than just the desktop there. She travels along her route towards Maribel. Something must have occurred. Now, the only way she's going to pull over, there's a couple ways. Could be a hustle shot, right? But we're out of time for a hustle shot if we're going to ping later. Really. We're down to the wire for the pings that we see later on. We have damage to her vehicle. What if somebody sideswipe her and the cops are called? And what if, when the cops show up, it's a setup for her? And she's executed by two individuals, one standing in front of the vehicle and one standing on the driver's side and shooting in. She turns her head looking to the right to avoid. It would shoot her through the left temple and it would shoot her in the back of the head. She'd be in that vehicle. Now they've got to get that vehicle moved. So my thinking is that this is simply Maribel Caves. We find the pant leg and the loop. I wonder if that isn't where she's grabbed. Okay? I think they're not going to want to move the vehicle after they kill her in it. So the perpetrators, the two individuals, I believe, grab her, separate her from her phone, her purse, and some of her personal items that we never find. And I believe that's taken as proof another direction. And that's where I think we get that ping near the Vogel home family farm. That's proof that it's a done deal. And then in theory, okay, this is all my theory. I'm just walking you through what I think based off all of this. I think those two individuals, and I would name them, if it was me, if I was guessing, my educated guess would be Colburn and Scott Tadich. And I think they executed her at the turnaround and left her there. And I think Colburn plays the game to be the one to find it, to control everything. What happened at Marable Caves, I believe, was an assault. And then I think the cops get called in, and Colburn now can play the hero to get the sheriff position. I think that's his payoff. And I think that if he doesn't do it, he's going to lose more than he thinks, because I think he just ratted on everybody at the depositions. I think he has a lot of skin in the game to fix it. We see how poorly he did on the stand. He doesn't handle pressure well. He cracked at that deposition like an egg. He said, "Oh, I told my supervisors, and I'm just a little peon. I made sure the higher-ups knew it's their job," right? So with that, I think he and Scott Tadich are my two main suspects, and I think that they were doing it under the pressure of good old boy Kasurek, King of the Hill. I believe Kasurek's the boss, and I think Vogel's right in there with them. I wouldn't have been surprised if Vogel and Kasurek were sitting there at that Vogel family farm waiting on the phone in her purse and that stuff. Meanwhile, they got to keep her somewhere with the Rav until they get her out there to that turnaround. And then why would it be a different Rav? Because it would have Colburn and it would have Scott Tadich's fingerprints all over it. Now, it's interesting if you go back and look at a couple of my videos, Colburn's eggplant-shaped A in Andrew when he signs it matches aluminum in the Sikiki letter very well. His S in Sergeant when he signs in and out on the logs matches the S in the Sikiki. Body burned up in smelter. Was that Colburn's way? Maybe it never even hit Green Bay. Maybe it was just like the bones came in a box to Avery's left in a box. Maybe that letter never had anything to do with Green Bay. Maybe that was a little note to Sheriff of Manitowoc. Saying, yeah, done deal. Body was burnt up in the smelter. Put a little pressure on Scott Tadich, make sure he walks that line and says how high that fire is. So, okay, guys, back over to topside. All right, let's get caught up. King of Plugs says Stephen wouldn't leave the damn truck at his family's salvage yard. Come on, with millions coming. Hell yeah. She was grabbed and they drove it, and the ping was because of that. Jinx Things, good to see you, says it is the same tower she hit coming into Manitowoc and is very close, is closer to George Zipper's than Avery's. That's my point. If the cops really did do this, it would be very interesting that Kiss the Girls may have been a message. May have been a message for Brendan Dassey. Was he so scared of the cops because they kept saying, we know the truth. We know the truth. Well, only the killer knows the truth according to Kratz. He's a prosecutor for Brendan Dassey. How many times did, Lynn Kaczynski say the cops said they know the truth? Well, if you watch Kiss the Girls, you're going to find out 2 serial killers are 2 cops. Yeah. What if this turned out to be an actual Kiss the Girls? What if these 2 retiring cops are more or less psychopaths and part of the club? And what if they got their Scotty boy under their thumb, being the actor, just like Gregory Allen? What if Scotty boy is the Gregory Allen in 2005? Teresa says, at King of Plugs, the corruption in this case goes to the top of the state. 2 wrongful convictions, 2 frame jobs, and I'm going to add on to that, Teresa, 2 different scenarios of the same crime. 2 different ways that the victim was murdered, according to Kratz, in both of the cases. Teresa says they're beyond desperate to keep this hidden. That's true. That's very true. Hey, Lula Justice. Good to see you. Hey, Hazel. I love getting to see all these names I haven't seen in a while. I so appreciate that. It's been a very busy time lately for me with the stay-at-home order. I choose to stay home when I can. My kids, but lately I've been out in the woods and doing a lot of walking and going to work and getting my shopping done and tending to the kids, just like you guys. An absolute normal life, And with that, I don't always have as much time as I really would like. Shank Carla says, I thought Dave photos were from Pogie Wogie. So Pam of God? Well, if they are, it happened before the night photos. Because that limb is broke. So, okay. Sherry Lynn Pontello says, the main problem here is the smelling of burning body. Been to 2 burning body scene crimes. It is so putrid. It sticks in your nostrils for days and permeates whole communities. Yeah. Well, I'm not so sure on a smelter if it works that way. There was a gentleman that had a very horrible accident at one of the local smelters in Manitowoc, and he disintegrated. There was no burning. He fell into the slag and literally was burnt up instantly. There was no saving, nothing. So in that, I'm not so sure anybody would know if it was a night shift. How many crews are working the night shift running that? I don't know. I just find it interesting that it says an aluminum smelter, and Scott Tadich works at aluminum foundry. And Scott Tadich always knew ahead of time, even before the news, what they were going to talk about the next day. But Sherry Lynn Pontello says it did not happen at Avery Salvage Yard. No way. I totally agree. Jinx Thinks says last ping at 2:41 p.m. was at 7,500 Village Drive, Whitelaw, Wisconsin. All right, let's add that. Let's see, can I change this? I should be able to, right? Yeah. Okay. It's going to be a little slow just because I'm recording too. Okay. Did it say Village Drive, Whitelaw? Yeah. All right. 7,500. There it goes. Okay, where does that take us? Where did it go? Where did it go? I'm trying to see where. Oh, right here. Holy cow. Right between Colburn's house and the Vogel family farm. Right here. For real. And the voice message was right here. Does it not look like Teresa was detoured? Okay, think about it. So she's traveling. Here's my white dot, right? Here's my white dot. And she goes along this route, and she's planning to go home, right? But it looks like she gets detoured right here at Maribel Caves because she starts going this way towards Andrews. This is the phone pinging. Not necessarily the car, but the phone pinging. So that works right in there. Thank you for that, Jinx Thinks. Appreciate that. Let's see. Teresa says Richard Boyd is smarter than most of you think. Richard's like my crazy big brother. We all kind of crazy in this case, though. I mean, face it, we spend a majority of our time researching this case, and you have to be a little crazy to keep up with the details. Can drive you crazy, too. I support what he does and so forth. I personally do not target Teresa Sinclair or whatever her name is. I don't find it appropriate. She has children, so forth. He wants me to superimpose her face over Teresa's pictures and so forth. I've done this. I've walked this. It matches very well, but everybody has a double. The woman is much shorter than Teresa was in height. She's much older, and I just honestly don't believe it's her. I believe that, I hate to say it, but she's too high. This boys club, I don't think they would let her live. I'm just saying. But I don't think that's her pelvic bone either. I think they get rid of her car and her because I think she was executed. And I think that would have led straight back to police officers. Corrupt law enforcement. So I think the whole kit and caboodle was done in. Maybe a few panels were popped out of the RAV, the original RAV, and popped into the new RAV replacement, and then they throw on this. I'm sure they kept the real RAV for a short time, but I'm of the two RAV philosophy. It's just how I feel. I mean, Irvin Koenig just got done telling us that what he saw parked there was dark green. And he does say dark green in his statement on the news. I heard it with my own ears. What we see is a blue vehicle. He didn't even like it because in the post-trial, he was seeing photographs of a blue vehicle. It was the wrong color. He disagrees that it's the same vehicle. He's an eyewitness I trust. He went on the news right away before this was a making a murderer thing. He went on the news before they found her car, that he's seeing her vehicle at the turnaround. That's a big deal. You can't plan that. You can't cut that out. He's panicking because he's saying, I don't know what to do to the dispatch. They're on the way. Who? The news. They're going to interview me. Yeah. He was in a panic. Other guy screaming, you should have kept your mouth shut. And they transfer him off without us getting to talk about it. So. All right, guys, let's come down here. Jinx thinks that last ping you just gave me, that address was certainly very close to the Vogel Farm. The Vogel Farm's right here. You have 700 Village Drive right here, and you have Colburn right here. So it's sandwiched in between. And let's look here. This stretch is a 2 mile down here in the bottom. So on a crow's path, it's 2 miles. That's pretty damn close in this case. When you have Vogel himself scheduled for deposition coming up in just a week. So I agree with the fact that 2 miles is close enough to the Vogel family farm for me. 2 miles is close enough to Colburn's. That girl's phone should not be pinging anywhere over there because we have two men sitting in prison because her phone supposedly, the last time it worked, and the last time her phone worked was Avery's. But we find out, no, if we base it on the truth, who are the two guys that should be in prison based off, if it was just based off phone pings in the last place? They put Stephen and Brendan in jail. That's where phone pings last. Yep, put them in jail. Well, maybe it should be the Vogel, Dennis Vogel and Andrew Colburn. But yeah, 2 miles is close enough for me to the Vogel farm. 2 miles is definitely close enough to Colburn for me. This girl's phone shouldn't be pinging anywhere over there. It's the last time she's ever heard from again. That's a big deal. Definitely warranting enough to investigate these two individuals as suspects. Hence, I have the 24-point conflict on Colburn. I should do one on Vogel. I just did one on Kasurek. Jean Marie Bonsavage says, I've been on this case since 2015. Just can't wait for his release already. Prayers every day for him and Brendan. Very much so. All right, you guys. I think we're going to go ahead and call it good. Like I said, I'm trying to show everybody's statements. YouTube censors them and I have to show it or hide it. I just show. Christine Dempsey says, I honestly do not think TH is dead and TSJC are the same ones. Okay. And you know what? You could be right, Christine Dempsey. We've got a handshake from Ken Kratz that it's the right pap smear in the first place to be Teresa's. I can't even go up against you or fight it. Millbilly does know his stuff very much, and I support the fact that he works so diligently and passionately to help these guys, and I think very much like Millbilly does. I think it's two Ravs. Her own mother said it was dark green. They seized a dark green Rav on the 3rd. Irvin Koenig said it's the wrong color. Pam Sturham's like, it's more blue than green. I gotta check the VIN. It's more bluish. Oh yeah. When you have the main players in the game questioning whether or not this vehicle is Teresa's, why did her family not question it? All right. Okay. Let's leave off on this. In this scenario where Teresa's last ping is at 7,500 Village Drive, sandwiched way over here. If she left from here, she would have continued to go toward her home this way. But something drew this girl down here within a half a mile of Colburn. Down here within 2 miles of the Vogue family farm. And she's never seen again. Colburn just had his deposition, threw everybody, including the Vogel, under the bus, and Vogel's scheduled for a deposition. And this girl pings right here. Why? I'll leave you with that thought. All right, guys. I want to say thank you so much for coming on with me. Everybody still wants to talk. I keep thinking that everybody's sick of talking about it, or tired of my voice, but I keep seeing so many good posts. Shane Carla says Pam Sturm had a photo of a green RAV4 on a piece of paper. He's referring to the missing poster. When she found a blue one. Go figure. Steve Deschal says if TH RAV windows busted out, RAV a decoy to get on property. Yep. All right, thank you guys so much. Much love, and as always, if you didn't do the crime, you sure should not do the time. I love you guys so much, and thank you from the bottom of my heart to all of those No Crime, No Time supporters that made it so that our entire NoCrimeNoTime.org channel is 100% free to everybody from here forward. If we do run into financial issues, we'll put it back out there, but I don't see any coming because everything has been paid for by them so that we can just provide free, uncensored information to everybody. Love you guys. With that, peace out.